Module 3, the last content area, stress management. This is weed. This covers SLO 3. So last time in the previous content area, weight management, we're looking at the different ways of evaluating body composition. We use bioelectrical impedance because it's easy and relatively inexpensive. BMI is a poor indicator of that, and it is not body composition. We looked at the 3 components of metabolism. Hopefully you can remember those and do your BMR homework. Some of the healthy eating practices that we talked about, and then how does body image influence your overall wellness? So looking at the crucial concepts related to stress and the stress response, what are some common stressors? You can come up with a list of those. Identify managing stress through healthy lifestyle choices and try to redefine stress. What are the benefits of physical activity and exercise? Look at attentional focus and sleep habits. So on D2L, there's a very important video that I would strongly encourage you to watch. It's a TED Talk. This woman, Kelly McGonigal, is a health psychologist at Stanford University, or she was. I don't know what she's doing currently. And she talks about rethinking the stress response. So if you are an individual who deals with stress and you have a negative concept of that, perhaps you want to watch it or share it with someone else and see the benefit of that. And within the video, there is a question about the social stress test and does a little experiment. So the belief that stress is bad for you is worse than the actual stress response is correct, as she shares in some of the research in the video. So how do you define stress? Take a moment right now and pause this video. And then after I talk about what the definition of it is, then consider some of the thoughts you have about stress. So stress is the body's reaction to change. Notice there is no positive or negative to that. It is just body's reaction to change. A stressor is anything that causes stress, real or imagined. And then the stress response, we'll see what that is based on hormones. And so stress management, you can be proactive or reactive. So eustress is helpful, stimulating kind of stress. And then distress is negative, that inhibits actions, behaviors, or causes indecisiveness. So there is a difference between the two. So here you can see some of the outcomes of distress versus the positive effects of eustress. So the physiological response is based on a release of hormones. So we have the sympathetic division, which releases norepinephrine, which is the fight or flight syndrome, which you probably learned about in psychology at some point in your life, where the body is preparing to fight or flee. There are changes in the sympathetic, the pupils dilate, blood flow gets shunted to the muscles, away from the digestive system, reproductive system, etc., because it's not important to reproduce when you are fighting to save yourself or to flee. And so you're preparing, and then the body releases hormones to return to homeostasis, because that is where the body wants to be at all times. So when you're hot, you sweat. When you're cold, you shiver. And so the body wants to maintain that common state. So unmanaged stress on the body or constant stress on the body, it can suppress your immune system, cause muscle and joint problems, significant problems with hormones, both male and female, causes problems with the digestive system, including ulcers. And there's a video in the future, which is a bonus assignment that you could use. Increases the heart rate, which can lead to cardiovascular problems, and then problems with your brain in terms of memory, in terms of cognition, performance, etc. So come up, what is it in your life that causes stress? Now remember, it could be positive stress or negative stress. What are some of those things that are common with you and your classmates? If you can list 10 or so, either mentally or write them down, and then what are the best means to manage those, or can you be proactive with them? So when it comes to stress and performance, there is a direct link. We know this from Yerkes and Dodson from 1908. And on D2L, there is a link to a video that you can watch about the inverted U. So what that basically says is, as your level of stress or arousal goes up, your performance goes up to a certain point, which is here optimal. But if it continues, then you start decreasing your performance. So those of you who have test anxiety, how can you find your sweet spot here on the stress level or arousal level so that you can remember all the information? Many of us have sat down to take a test before, and we are so anxious about it and stressed that we can't remember anything. I had a situation when I was in high school where that happened to me, and fortunately I was able to gather myself, turn to the next page. It was a math class, and I finally found a problem that I realized how to do, and then I finished the rest of the test and went back, and I was able to successfully complete it. I'm not saying I got an A on it. I did okay. So what is the best form of stress management for you? Remember, if your stress management creates greater stress after you are finished with that practice, it's probably not a good form. So, physical activity, exercise, proper nutrition, and sleep, which we've all talked about, are all exceptional ways to help relieve, manage proactively your stress. So, if you take care of all of those, you will find that you have less stress in your life. Not a stress free life, because who wants a stress free life? That sounds like you're in a coma and your brain is not functioning. So, we constantly have things going on that are going to push us to excel. I really can't stand the term mindfulness because it's overused right now, but that's just being able to focus on the task at hand, being present. So instead of having your phone and your computer and all this stuff working at one time, sit down and focus on what needs to be accomplished, put away the distractions, and then you will be able to achieve higher levels of performance. So there's different types of relaxation responses that you can do where you are going to control your breathing, and there's research that indicates by controlling your breath you're able to lower your heart rate and feel better. There's progressive relaxation down here, visualization. There's a number of those tools that you can use. So part of the stress response is, what is your personality? Type A are quote unquote overachievers. Type B are laid back. Type C is a stress resistant or hardy personality. So you know people who seem to never be stressed out over anything. So they might have some of these attributes. So they have an internal locus of control. So no, you can't control the weather. No, you can't control traffic. No, you can't control others, but you are in control of yourself, and being aware of that and the consequences of your behavior, that helps to lower your stress. If you are external locus of control, then you are at the whims of the world, and wherever the wind blows, that's where you are taken. Do you have meaningful involvement in your life via commitment to something, whether that is some sort of faith-based item, whether that is to a loving partner, whether that is to a certain value system or belief? There's a number of that. Are you willing to accept challenges? I have moved from the state of Pennsylvania. I taught in Maryland for 5 years, then moving to Wisconsin without knowing anyone in Wisconsin, moving to Indiana without knowing one in Indiana, and then 2015 moving to Texas without knowing anyone in Texas. So I'm not afraid to accept challenges. Do you have a lifestyle of wellness that enhance your health? And then connectedness. You have a network of social support, helping others whether that would be your family, friends, your church, mosque or synagogue or temple or whatever that is. So there's different items that are out there that you can get connectedness. Maybe a team. When I was coaching track and field, I would encourage my athletes to talk to other members of the team and build connectedness. The more about managing stress, remember we talked about spiritual wellness in the first module, and that is having purpose. So all of those things are helpful, and they're all the dimensions, whether that's physical, you can have stress because of your physical wellness, because you are sick, and that increase your stress. Financial, again, if you have a lot of bills. Occupational, we talked about that at the beginning of the semester, where you have a job that you don't like. Social, you're not having the social interactions that you want to. Environmental, I mean, after a while, the heat in the greater Houston area gets to me, so intellectual, making wise choices. So here's a question. What do you call stress management techniques that temporarily relieve stress, but ultimately add to the level one stress? The best type, another headache, something I avoid. How much will it cost? Money and other, and then party in the USA. So what are some ways that people negatively manage stress, whether that's retail therapy or tobacco, alcohol, or drugs, or sex, or gambling, all the different items that are out there, gaming, binge eating. So I have 6 items that these are my thoughts on stress management. So have a plan, have a calendar, know what's coming up so that you can achieve success. When you walk into a class and you find out there's an exam and you're ill prepared, that increases the level of stress versus being prepared and knowing all of that information. Find ways that you can relax, whatever that is. Those of you who are artistic, you can draw. Those of you who are creative, you can write. Other things, musical people, you can play music, listen to music, watch a favorite video. Talk is share your feelings with other people. Obviously, exercise and physical activity. Redirect, that's not we direct, that's redirect. So you're stressed about one thing, so you put that energy into something else. So you're really stressed, and then you go wash the dishes. And for me, washing dishes is cathartic, so is vacuuming. So taking that energy and stress from one thing and placing it into something else in a positive way. And then laugh. So find something that is humorous, but be aware of the dreaded black hole of YouTube where you enter and 6 hours later you emerge and you haven't accomplished anything. And then this is my quote here because I look, no one else, as far as I can see, has ever said it. If you can't see the ultimate, you're trapped in the immediate. So just like the goals, if you can't see what your big purpose is, you're going to be trapped in the here and now and focused on that rather than working towards achieving those excellent goals. If you find Jim Gaffigan funny, but this is a video that I have linked on D2L, he talks about weddings and some of the rituals that we have. Again, I find it funny, you may not. So there's help and support, so listen to your body. Peer counseling and support groups, there's professional help with therapists and psychotherapy. Here is communities in school. There's also the care center, which I don't have any information about that, but it's on the board and throughout the placards in University Park. Here's another video about fixing yourself, because you really can't fix the world. You can't fix others, you can only fix yourself. So work on being the best version of you. Again, this is on D2L, you can watch that. It's from a psychologist. So here is a question. It's a two-parter. How would you rate your quality and quantity of sleep, and how many hours of sleep do you average a night? So adequate sleep, it improves your mood, fosters feelings of confidence and self-worth, enhances mental functioning, supports emotional functioning, regulates hormones effectively, and improves attention and learning. Here is a video. It's only 5 minutes talking about the benefits of sleep through research, and also some steps that you can take to feel better. So take time and watch this video and learn about the benefits of sleep, and hopefully that will motivate you to sleep better. I mentioned this video earlier about the stress response. So this guy is a Stanford University professor, or he was, and he studied baboons for over 30 years. There is a bonus assignment. It's called Stress Portrait of a Killer. It has its agenda if you watch it, so just be aware of that. But it is interesting, and they go through looking at how the stress response is similar between baboons and human beings, because of some shared DNA. But obviously, human beings have choices where baboons don't have as many choices. But if you need a bonus assignment to reopen something that closed, or you have one unexcused absence you want to get excused, certainly a good option, even though it's a 56, 57-minute video. So which of your physical literacy components do you think has progressed the most since the first day of class? Is it your confidence? Is it the knowledge and understanding the benefits of physical activity? Has your motivation changed? The expectation of success times value, or your motor competence? Those are the four components. And the definition of physical literacy from Sport Australia is about developing the skills, knowledge, and behaviors that give us the confidence and motivation to lead active lives. 5 attributes and standards of a physically literate person, which you will see again in the next presentation, and also on the final exam. Those are the references. So what can we take away from the information related to stress and sleep, and how to better manage that in our lives to optimize our performance? So can you describe the critical concepts related to stress and stress response? What are the common stressors in your life, and how can you best manage those? How can you improve your lifestyle to mitigate the effects of stress? And some of the other factors that are here. As always, if you have questions, please email me.